Right, what's up, yins guys? I'm gonna do another video here. I actually finally ordered this book. I mentioned it in a lot of my videos as a part of my sarcasms here. And before I start, I want to say too, you look on Amazon.com or eBay, there are people that'll try to sell this book for a ridiculous amount of money, like 100 and 200 bucks. But you can get it for freaking $8 and shit if you know where to find it. And I've owned this once before, and I regret ever getting rid of it to start with. But this is, I think, for my bookmark here, my other papers here. But there's a relevant thing that I want to read as a sample to you here. But I was thinking about doing a complete reading of this. Starting from the beginning. Oh, fucking wind. So, gotta be careful that. Today is like a windy as hell day. Like the wind's going on and off. It's like sunny in some of these spots, but slightly cold. I'm worried this wind's gonna blow my camera over. I don't know if it's a good day for this. But anyway, here we go. I mean, this is relevant to a lot of shit that I want to say, and I want to read this from the beginning. But our contributions to the success of BS, to the success of bullshit, and this is some really important key stuff that if you watch a lot of other people's YouTube videos, people are saying this shit already, so that's why a lot of you guys should go get this book. But okay, our contributions to the success of BS. Basically, bullshit succeeds because of the following reasons. We give people, companies, institutions, governments more credit than they deserve. The obverse is that we lack self-esteem. Well, a lot of us, and well, they want to make damn sure we lack self-esteem. But we feel everyone is either smarter, more glamorous, more important, richer, more influential, more powerful, or more perfect than we are. We have succumbed to the human weakness of greed, envy, and self-deception, and bought into the myth that by we being shrewd, we can get something for nothing. Then and again, there's times like these, the coronavirus thing, you know, we're being given everything, it's going to get thrown in our face later. But that's another thing. But yeah, we're being conditioned right now, and this is it's a good book to read during this era we're in now. We could be a bit. All right, not to distract and get off the subject like we do. We have allowed our desires, our needs, and our fantasies to distort reality. We no longer separate fact from fiction, truth from credibility, illusion from reality. People are painting their own reality and rewriting the meaning of religious scriptures, rewriting the meaning of, literally rewriting the old textbooks and rewriting them for abnormal psychology and psychiatry for whatever people's delusions, but that's another thing. Okay, I need to get back to reading here. Yeah, we no longer separate fact from fiction or credibility or illusion from reality. They're painting their new ones. Keep in mind, this is a book that I always said in my videos that they should do a reprinting of, or we should do books inspired by, or use this as a good reference book. We have abdicated our power by not accepting responsibility for it. In return, we have settled for the illusion of security, of being in good hands of doctors, teachers, lawyers, psychiatrists, the government, and even in the insurance company. All through childhood, we had to accept the dictates of parents, teachers, the scoutmaster, any adult or authority. We had to accept our faith that was of what was represented, taught, or preached was the gospel truth. That is, until one's independent thinking or life's experience showed us differently. However, most instances one could not contradict authority without fear of actual punishment for doing so. Well, that reminds me, and take a quick pause for a minute, not to get off the subject, but I put on my YouTube, I took a snippet from that video, The Road to Armageddon, which is I think is a wonderful video, because there was a guy, a professor on there, talking about that how everybody was tired of being afraid of hell. You know, after the Inquisitions, the Age of Enlightenment came along, and they decided they were just a species. They didn't want to be threatened with hell or anything anymore, and they decided some people decided if that was to be brought back up again, it would just open the door for more crazies and more inquisitions and yada yada. But I'm using it as a quick reference. But if I read mundanely and blindly, what kind of fucking video would that be now, would it? Okay, now where was I in this damn book? Okay, hold on, I lost my place. I had my finger right here. Okay. However, in most instances, one could not contradict authority without fear of punishment from doing so. Punishment could be physical, but much more painful was ostracism, or the withdrawal of approbation and or love. Consequently, we went underground. We noticed the discrepancies, kept quiet about them, but continued to observe the difference between what was preached and what was practiced. It was but a short step from this to our practicing deception. Either we saw adults using deception, or we came to know it by trial and error. We came to know that it was a method that could work with our lack of real power. And that if we were caught at it, it brought the least amount of problems. Although we occasionally lied too, although we too occasionally lied, we stayed away from it as much as possible, because we were aware that lying brought the harshest penalty. Thus was formed a generation of youngsters who, upon leaving childhood and school, entering the world of business and government, continued to use deception, partially BS, bullshit, as the everyday tool. What started as a need to avoid punishment for contradicting authority gradually developed in a tool to wrest personal advantage, and that in turn became a lifestyle and philosophy. This type of person believes that he has an accurate fix on reality, and to a great extent he does, because he sees the greed, envy, jealousy, the base instincts of people. He feels superior to others because he utilizes their weakness, and quite often gains the advantage. In the secret recesses of his person, however, he lacks self-esteem. His method masks the question mark of true ability, his true identity, his true values. He struggles constantly to escape those vague but consistent feelings of self-contempt. Those of us who are most likely to be victims, however, responded quite differently to authority in childhood. Basically, we were unquestioning, or when we found discrepancies, we suppressed our knowledge of it, because we would not jeopardize approbation and in our acceptance and love. Our fear was so intimidating that we not only drove the knowledge of discrepancies into the subconscious, but we transformed the instigators of our fear into idealized forms. In other words, we placed our parents, teachers, and other authority figures on a pedestal, making them the fount and dispenser of all knowledge and all good things, including security and love. Anything that threatened this balance was put aside, forgotten, or hidden. The result, of course, was an idealistic but distorted image of reality, and a predisposition to being deceived. Interestingly, this type of person is psychologically similar to the deceiver in that both lack self-esteem. He feels that other people, organization, institutions, government, and more important, and of more value than he can ever be. So in order to attack this problem, we must, like in any other good rehabilitation program that deals with changing one's behavior and psyche, first acknowledge and admit our susceptibility, and we are viewing life through a distortion. More precisely, we are not seeing reality. Reality is not the way you wish things to be, nor is it a way they appear to. nor it is not the way they appear to be, excuse me, but the way they actually are. The most difficult problem people have with this reality is that they tend to confuse it with likes and dislikes. Unfortunately, one's personal feelings regarding a given reality are not relevant to the reality itself. It is very easy to fall into a trap of allowing your desires and emotions to play tricks on you, creating illusions intending to pass for reality, distinguishing, for example, between what should be and opposed to what is. The difference between being deceived and being a realist who cuts the possibility of deception at its source. A realist simply is a person who believes in basing his life on facts and who dislikes anything that seems imaginary, impractical, or theoretical, or utopian. There are those who will argue that reality is not an absolute, and it is different things to different people, or in other words, a matter of opinion, I guess. The premise being that each of us perceives situations differently, and therefore reality changes from person to person. I almost lost my place again. As Robert Ringer points out, who the fuck is Robert Ringer? You'd have to look that up. I'd have to look that up right now. Those who make this argument are partially right in their words, but completely wrong in their conclusion. Ringer says each person does perceive reality differently, but reality is fact. What reality is not in all cases a known, and that is their perception of reality comes. That is where their profession. Okay, let me say this again. And that's where their perception of reality comes in. Reality is the given perception of perception, or reality. All right, that's a hard attempt to do. Reality is the given perception of the reality that is a variable. Okay, let me try this again. I almost lost my place. Reality is the given perception of the reality as a variable? Shit, sounds like something that was in my computer class when I took Visual Basic in Java. A variable and then everything, yeah, you can say everything is being run by algorithms, whether you're by a computer or not. But that's another sarcasm that I could say in a separate video. But all right, I didn't plan on reading this long, but I'll go a little further. It's tough to comprehend ideas and the reality. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, it's tough to comprehend ideas and circumstances we are accustomed to hearing and seeing within circumstances. We are accustomed to hearing and seeing invisible perimeters that surround our lives. Yet common sense tells us that we all have learned and understood. Certainly does not comprise all the knowledge that exists on Earth, let alone throughout the universe. Therefore, the antidote to their restrictions of our own world is to reject custom and tradition as a basis of fact, and in its place put the acceptance of logic and reason. But first we must recognize the variable, those factors that bend, distort, and falsely our perception of reality. The cloud and hide our availability to determine the actual reality, the given. The variable is one of the most prevalent distorters of egotism. Now you're getting to to reread this sentence, you're getting to some serious shit here. And then here's where I stop, because then they're talking about egotism and fantasy, but and there's some different kind of stuff going on in this one here. I'm thinking about, starting from the beginning and doing videos on separate chapters. I'm just doing this as a dry run, but keep in mind some of these things that are said in this book, okay, too. you can say are factual to a certain extent. But to understand some of this, you got to know that the so-called truth, however anybody wants to put it, is always inverted and twisted. Whether you're arguing with somebody or ranting or somebody telling you how something is right in their face, say they're not arguing with you, or they're making these faces and eyes at you, well, not arguing at all, like body language to make you feel threatened or intimidated if you disagree with something. Like, for example, that one guy on, I was looking at it, he was doing snippets of Inside Edition, confronting that one preacher with his fancy car and that. He's giving people the evil eye that way. The lady, he's patronizing the lady in Inside Edition, and but the hell is his name? You know what I mean? I get the names. I see his face, and people follow this guy too, and everything too. The hell's the guy's name? I'd have to. I'm about to tell you, this one guy has a good YouTube videos was showing it anyway. But all right, that's it for now.